Sean Diddy Combs Puff Daddy is on trial. Sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting of women for prostitution.
We grew up listening to Diddy.
This is the O.J. Simpson of our time. The jury is seeing actual freak-off videos.
I'm starting to sweat.
Distribution of a controlled substance.
There's video evidence. If he does not get proven guilty for any of these big things, what does that say about money, fame, the music industry, Hollywood?
Well, unless you have been living under a rock, you should know that Sean Diddy Combs Puff Daddy is on trial to possibly spend the rest of his life in prison in federal court in the Southern District of New York for sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting of women for prostitution.
Oh, I feel like you've been covering the case every day.
And I have been getting.
Yeah, that was
in the meantime, I got my law degree.
Yeah, I do feel like it's a full-time job following these cases. However, I think that this is so big for people our age because we grew up listening to Diddy. This is so much heavier than just another one of those cases. This is you this whole time have been so disgusting.
This is the O.J. Simpson of our time.
But no one's
trial.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say
trial where we are waiting to cover. And I told Kendra this before. I really had no intention of being this deeply involved in the Diddy trial, but I was on TikTok and one of the reporters came on, and it was at the beginning of the trial, literally.
It always starts on TikTok. That's how you get sucked in.
But that's also how I got sucked into TikTok. I hardly ever open my TikTok app now. Every night, it's Drew, I'm going in bed to get my Diddy trial update.
Yeah, I scheduled
I have been invested in this trial.
Yeah.
And I think why a lot of people are saying it's similar to the OJ trial is one, because of the amount of media attention it is getting. Like you said, it's someone that we're what? You live this whole other lifestyle, but
and you're
also
sick fuck.
That he could possibly get off.
Okay, not only get off, but I also do think that there's this weird potential ripple effect that may happen because are you going to start talking? Are you going to talk about Beyonce, Jay-Z, all of these other people that are
have tried to put other celebrity names in it, although based on what I've learned, and also just so we're clear, everything we're saying today is
allegedly.
Alleged. This is based on people that I hear from TikTok, but they are in
the
hearsay.
Courtroom. Yeah.
They are in the courtroom. Yeah. And inner city
Why
press
couldn't they have cameras again? Because it's federal?
It's a federal case.
Got it. Okay.
So, and because of the nature of the evidence, because the jury is seeing actual freak off videos, which if you don't know, yes, the freak offs or hotel nights is what Diddy engaged in with his girlfriends at the time, where they would bring in male escorts, and Diddy liked to watch the girlfriend and the male escort have sexual relations.
Okay, relations. So wait, sexual relations is Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. What was happening were not relations. Right. That was full blown rape, in my opinion, of what I've heard.
Well, no,
they're drugged and.
Okay,
no,
so that's
being pissed on.
Yes,
I'm starting to sweat.
No, but you're hearing the buzzy little clips.
Yeah, that's what we're giving.
That's why you cannot be. You have to be invested in this.
Okay, you're watching the YouTube in the carpool lane with the children. Yeah.
Yes. No, but so the press that is allowed in the gallery of the courtroom is not allowed to see a lot of evidence because of the nature. You can't watch people.
Yeah.
Have sex in court. So,
well, unless you're a juror.
So I think also what we're reporting on, what I'm talking about is from these people who we don't know, we can't see all of the evidence. But
so we're playing telephone.
We're playing telephone.
But wait, also his children are in the courtroom?
Okay, so his girls,
when these are playing?
So he has 7 children, 6 older children, one
toddler. Of which goes to dance with.
That is in the circle.
Which is very wild. Can we have a moment for one of his children are in our community here in Newport Beach?
We are one step closer.
We are
to the Diddy trial.
That's why we're so invested. No. Okay, so the several children are there.
Yes, the girls were there, which honestly kind of upset me though. They were there in the beginning for opening statements, but they were also there listening to Cassie's testimony. And Cassie Ventura, the singer known as Cassie. She is testifying against Diddy for the government, and one of his counts that he is indicted for is the sex trafficking of Cassie. So like her testimony is trying to prove that he sex trafficked her.
Yeah.
And
keep in mind she's also pregnant. Testifying, correct?
Yeah, they had to get her in and out, like the judge.
Because she was in her third trimester. Yeah.
She was due in 2 weeks.
Lovely.
She had the baby during this trial.
Oh.
She was the prosecution's like one of their first witnesses, and she had the baby during this trial. Now, Sean Combs' 3 daughters, so twins, and Chance, I believe her name is, which like the twins are seniors in high school and Chance is like a year or 2 older. We're in the courtroom for some of that.
That is so dark.
I can't imagine like even hearing the opening statements of this trial about
but then the nitty gritty and then like the videos
and being girls.
Horrific. And you are also being like, I hate to say it, but like you're like a puppet being propped up there of like, no, you need to show support because I am a dad. Sorry, right? Like you need to show that I'm a human, that I'm a father, that I'm a family man.
Is that like, you know, the RICO racketeering charges is like part of him controlling the enterprise. They say like he does a lot of things for social media, and one of his former personal assistants testified because the defense was trying to cross-examine her, being like, yeah, you're saying that he, you know, sexually assaulted you, but then a month later, you're celebrating him for his birthday on social media. And she was like, well, one of the requirements was that you had to like
keep the front
and do like a birthday like post on Instagram. And his kids from prison, like he was in jail already. His birthday's in November, and they like recorded them singing happy birthday and talking to him on the phone in jail.
And, so it's all for the public eye.
I mean, clearly, I don't know. I think like the kids are trying to, I think they want their dad home.
Okay, so backing up though, like when I remember the videos on TMZ of when the feds went in and raided the house.
Insane.
So like all of the baby lube, all of that stuff, all of the videotapes, like everything that they recovered from that is now what he's being tried for. Do you think that the 5 counts that he's being tried for, like that they're going to be able to prosecute based off of the evidence?
Okay, so like obviously this is seriously, you guys, the deepest I've been in like the law, like of understanding like how trials work. And I know that sounds crazy, but obviously we all know they're innocent until proven guilty. His most like critical charge is the racketeering.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to be able to
find
him guilty because I don't think that the prosecution.
Okay, so wait, let me back up. Racketeering, for somebody that's like not in this, racketeering is like you've gathered everybody else to create.
It's a criminal enterprise where like
you created a ring of psychopaths.
Yes, so like it means that
he's done that,
and you knowingly, that you are helping me knowingly
commit crimes.
And you know that you are committing crimes with me.
Then he's doing that. But all of his staff that has gone along with this.
But I don't know.
I'm sorry. Look at the receipts of who's bought all that baby oil.
Yes, but they're saying that the personal assistants. The defense is saying that the personal assistants are doing their job for the celebrity. They're doing what he needs.
And that they had no idea what was going on behind.
No idea. So that's why
What about all the people that have ended up dead in his life?
Okay, well, that's a whole different conspiracy theory.
But conspiracy theory, people have ended up dead in his life.
No, I know. But the conspiracy
and like, what about the girl that was
everything to do with all
deaths,
of them?
But like, why aren't they going on that? Like, that seems so crazy to me.
That's why I think people are saying.
Seems like there's so much more. Like, when are we going to call Justin Bieber to the stand?
Well, you know, he came out and said that he is not a victim of Sean Diddy Combs, that he had nothing to do with it, and that there's like real victims in this situation, which like I actually firmly believe that Justin Bieber was a victim.
100%. I feel like it's been written about in his lyrics.
The recent spiral that we're seeing
on Father's Day. I know. My God, that's
because of this Diddy trial.
Yeah, there's a whole mental illness capacity of what's happened to that poor guy.
But I don't know that they're going to be able to convict him on the racketeering charges because I don't know that the prosecution proved without a reasonable doubt that he is guilty. And I have learned since being in law school over the past 6 weeks that you have to prove like
beyond a reasonable doubt. Yeah.
Yes.
That term. Okay. So
we do think that he will be found guilty on the charges of transportation to like
trafficking.
No, the transportation of women or men, I forget what the specifics, to commit prostitution. That he will be guilty of because it's literally laid out. Like,
but that's one of 5 charges.
Him paying for like using the Amex to pay for text messages showing like, hey, Anton, are you available to come to Miami? Paying for that. Although the defense is trying to say that he was paying for their time and that porn, for example, is legal. So it's getting a little
dicey. Okay. Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, if he gets off, I will be so disgusted with our criminal justice system. I'm sorry.
I will be like more disgusted with him.
Of like you're walking free, but like how could we have not like knowing all of this of what you've done to these women?
Sort of time. He's going to get some sort of time. A lot of people believe he will be guilty of sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. We think he will be found not guilty of the sex trafficking of Jane Doe. It's another woman who testified under the
that doesn't want her name.
Jane Doe.
Yeah.
Because, and you know what's really, I was watching, the judge is giving the jury instructions, and it's really confusing because for racketeering, they only have to find 2 things to be true under all of those counts, which is like kidnapping, arson, which arson was like the Kid Cudi situation. But there was female DNA in the Kid Cudi situation. So that kind of like,
excuse that.
Excuse that. And then the prosecution literally at the last minute, like last week, I think, pulled those charges.
Really?
So yeah, that's
Mercury
why,
is the right. Okay.
But that's why this trial is so interesting. Like there's so
well, because
many
it's like, was it handled right? I mean, and look, I understand that like, just because you're a celebrity, like I understand that there's freaks in this world and fetishes in this world and people that have disgusting things that they are into. I am not here to judge on that. What I am here to judge on though is that you hired somebody, some weird freak off the internet, drugged your girlfriend to be okay with this, let him pee on her, and I don't want to say rape, but basically raped her while she's drugged. That, if you're not charged for that after her testimony.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, Cassie.
That's why I don't understand how that gets dicey. Like, she's saying that. There's proof of that. There's videos of that. There's men, like, where are we not?
The defense is showing text messages.
Consensual.
Yes.
That she was okay with it.
I want to freak off with you. Can we schedule a freak off tonight? So that's why it's getting really hard. I also read or understood.
So what's her, wait, okay. Because I'm not like as invested as you are, I'm genuinely asking, what is her argument with that?
Her argument is that there were some times that she did want it. Like that she
wanted to make him happy.
Wanted to make him happy. Also, she became addicted to drugs, like in the situation. So
what kind of drugs was he giving her?
She said her personal favorite during the freak offs was ketamine, which is like really
a horse
crazy.
tranquilizer. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got to numb out for that.
They were doing ketamine, MDMA.
Ugh, this is so nasty.
Yeah, no,
this is dark.
Like very dark. And then
should we just go back to talking about toddlers? Wow.
After the judge gave the jury instructions, they came back with a couple notes for the judge, which
questions,
means like, yeah. And one of them, because I believe under the indictment of racketeering, one of the counts I think is like distribution of a controlled substance. And they were asking like, if the person asks for drugs and you give it to them, is that distribution? Which I don't know what the judge came back for. I'm not that well versed in law. I know it may be hard to believe, but I didn't go to law school. I just went to TikTok law school.
That's right. School of Hard Knock Life.
So it's getting very difficult to
okay, so they just started deliberations. How long do you think that they will be deliberating for?
Well, so another note that they came to the judge with is that they believe that one of the jurors is not following jury instructions, distribution of a controlled substance. Although I saw this morning that he is now following instructions.
Got it.
I'm very concerned for juror number
We need to have him on the pod. Let's talk to you about this.
But okay, so we are filming this the week of 4th of July. So court is closed Thursday and Friday. So I don't think that we will have a jury verdict until next week, which is the hope while we're filming this podcast.
Wait, can I also ask, what about the physical violence and like the physical abuse
that's what the defense is saying, that this is a domestic violence, domestic abuse case,
which is all
distribution of a controlled substance.
But like that also, is he being charged for any of that?
No.
Wild. Because why?
I don't know. The prosecution decided
Like there's video evidence.
For RICO.
Go big. Okay. Love that. RICO is the racketeering.
RICO is the racketeering. Okay. Also includes bribery, which if you're saying that video that everyone knows about Cassie in the hotel, the prosecution called the security guards from the Intercontinental to the witness stand because he bribed them with money to get that footage. So that's
Shut
what
up.
they're. Yeah.
See, okay, like this is where I'm saying I think the bigger conversation here is like if he does not get proven guilty for any like of these big things, what does that say about money, fame, the music industry, Hollywood? What does that say about all that?
Well, also,
you're exempt from the law. You can go run amok. You can touch. I mean, there are huge allegations allegedly that what he has done. But that's saying like you have a pass of all of dark Hollywood, which like so much of Hollywood is dark and disgusting.
I think that's like the bigger thing.
That's the bigger thing. And that's
like whether or not he is guilty.
Going back to like Harvey Weinstein, and yes, I know that what his charges were and what he got charged for. But it's like this is just another layer of like, well, you're kind of exempt if you get off.
Well, guilty or not, like this has more than ever before has pulled the blanket off of what actually goes on in this music industry. Like, let's just say music industry, because that's what he's in. Like, Jane Doe on the witness stand is like talking about how she was with another very famous rapper and his wife engaging with one of the same male escorts that her and Diddy used to engage with.
Who do you think it is?
Everybody
Jay-Z?
knows. No.
Who?
Kanye and Bianca.
Stop.
Yeah, and then Kanye showed up in court. Like, there are so many
Kanye showed up in court for what?
Because you know him, because he knows it. What I told you, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows when he wants to get people to talk. He had to sit with the same reporters that I'm watching on TikTok in the gallery room because he is also not allowed in the courtroom.
So, now I know why you're so invested.
There's so many layers to it. And like, it just shows that there's so much darkness.
Freaks. Full-blown freaks.
Who like this weird lifestyle and that's the defense's argument is like,
this is just a lifestyle.
The federal government is trying to put crime scene tape. I think this is it, like sort of word for word. I'm paraphrasing. Crime scene tape on a swinger's lifestyle. Like, just because they wanted to engage in drugs and bring in third, fourth, fifth parties into their sex life is not committing a crime. He did it with his girlfriends. So the defense was saying,
so you think that he should get off?
No. The defense was saying that Cassie Ventura thing, which is that video that you see.
And by the elevator?
Yeah, like she could have left at any point. She stayed with him for 12 years. They also bring a point
that
where
brings
like
up
they broke up. She claims that they saw each other reunited for, I think this was 2018 at Nobu, Malibu, and went back to her place. And she alleges that like he raped her on the living room floor. And then the next day they saw each other. And then she says they had consensual sex the next day. So it's like very confusing. And the defense is like, they could have left. Any of these girls could have left. That he provided
but a lot of the fear,
lifestyle.
not only a lifestyle, but I have seen that a lot of the fear is like, I did watch that documentary on Netflix of like the Diddy whatever files, I think.
Okay.
And it was a lot of it was like fear of leaving and what he will do to you.
Yes.
I bet he'll kill you, have you killed, ruin your name. Like a lot of it was a lot of fear based that you could not just walk away. Right.
Which I absolutely agree with. But I think that's hard to prove in the court of law, that like you can't prove that he would have killed you if, you know. So I don't know. I hope that he is found guilty on all these charges because I think he's absolutely guilty of everything.
Yeah.
Do I think that there was enough evidence? I don't think so. However, if he is found guilty, I really hope that they also charge his first woman personal assistant, chief of staff, Christina Quorum, who will like, they have text messages with her and the girlfriends of being like, it's okay, don't worry, like hang in there.
No.
Yeah. So I really hope they charge her and his former head security guard, D-Rock, who like saw him beating the shit out of these girls.
And did nothing. Oh my God.
Cassie says like at one point he was beating her. D-Rock was crying, but like not doing anything.
Okay, what?
Yeah.
That's enough.
But that is
racketeering.
You've
gotten these three people. No,
but I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay,
so this case is not for us to deliberate and charge. Thank goodness. But I think if we're just going to go with jury or like our prediction, I think he's going to be found guilty on at least half of the charges and maybe found not guilty on racketeering, which is the biggest one. But I do think he will spend some sort of time in prison.
And what do you think that time is? You think like sentence for like 6 years and serves a year and a half?
No. I think like 10 to 20.
That he'll serve?
Well, because I think the sex trafficking, I will have to look it up, but I want to say that's like up to 10 years.
Yeah, but then you serve like what % of your sentence before you get out for good behavior?
Maybe, right?
Yeah, or like is Trump going to throw him a pardon?
Well, that's the other thing.
Fucking Trump.
He didn't say no. I don't think.
Oh my God.
You see this case, you guys, it has many layers. That's why I wanted to talk about it. What are your predictions, even though you don't know the ins and outs of the case?
I will predict that. Well, I want to predict that they're going to go into past the weekend to deliberate because of the 4th of July weekend. And then I think probably come back with half of the charges. Guilty.
And one of my TikTok reporters also thinks that they might come back as a hung jury on some of the charges.
Oh, interesting. Or a mistrial, like that they have to go again. Okay. That'd be a nice way of being like, I don't want to have somebody else go deal with this. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure we could bet on this in Vegas. You could bet on anything.
Gus would love to bet.
Yeah, that's right.
Vegas. Well, we'll keep you updated on our thoughts on the Diddy trial.
Welcome to Court TV.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're loving Camp Chaos, hit that subscribe button.
Leave us a review and share it with a friend. It means the world to us.
See you next time.